At 5:30 a.m., the adult male occupants of the house are handcuffed together and herded single file into a Central District wagon. They'll be taken downtown and dumped in separate rooms, where the same investigators who spent the night picking through the row house will begin an unsuccessful effort to provoke each man into acknowledging a child murder. And though they have not yet been charged with any crime, the suspects from 702 are treated with an almost exaggerated disdain by the detectives. Their contempt is both unspoken and unsubtle, and it has little to do with the murder of LaTanya Wallace anymore. Maybe one of the half-dozen men killed the little girl, maybe not. But what the detectives in the uniforms now know, after 6 hours inside 702 Newington, picking through the trash, and the discards, and the mayhem, is enough evidence for an indictment of an entirely different sort. It isn't about poverty. Every cop with a year on the street has seen plenty of poverty, and some, like Brown or Cerruti, were themselves born into hard times. And it has little to do with criminality, despite the long arrest sheets, the sexual abuse report on a 6-year-old, and the teenagers huffing cleaning products in the living room. Every cop at 702 Newington has dealt with criminal behavior on a daily basis, until evil is accepted without any excess of emotion as the necessary clientele, as essential to the morality play as lawyers and judges, parole officers, and prison guards. The contempt shown to the men of 702 Newington comes from a deeper place, and it seems to insist on a standard to say that some men are poor and some men are criminals, but even in the worst American slum, there are recognizable depths beyond which no one should ever have to fall. For a homicide detective in Baltimore, every other day includes a car ride to some godforsaken 12-foot wide pile of brick where no taxpayer will ever again breathe air. The drywall will be rotted and stained, the floorboards warped and splintered, the kitchen filled with roaches that no longer bother to run from the glow of an electric light. And yet, more often than not, the deprivation is accompanied by small symbols of human endeavor, of a struggle as old as the ghetto itself. Polaroid snapshots stapled to a bedroom wall showing a young child in a Halloween costume, a cut-and-paste Valentine from a child to his mother, small school lunch menus on the ancient round-top refrigerator, photographs of a dozen grandchildren collected in a single frame, plastic slipcovers on the new living room sofa, which sits alone in a room of battered, soiled remnants, the ubiquitous poster of the Last Supper, or Christ with a halo, or the airbrushed portrait of Martin Luther King Jr. on poster board, on paper, on black velvet even, his eyes uplifted, his head crowned by excerpts from the March on Washington speech. These are homes where a mother still comes downstairs to cry on the front steps when the police wagon pulls up outside, where the detectives know enough to use formal titles of address, where the uniforms ask the kid if the handcuffs are too tight and put a protective hand on his head when he negotiates his way into the back of a cage car. But in one row house on Newington Avenue, 24 human beings have learned to leave food where it falls, to pile soiled clothes and diapers in a corner of the room, to lie strangely still when parasites crawl across the sheets, to empty a bottle of Mad Dog or T-Bird and then piss its contents into a plastic bucket at the edge of the bed, to regard a bathroom cleaning product and a plastic bag as an evening's entertainment. Historians note that when victims of the Nazi Holocaust heard that Allied armies were within a few miles of liberating the camp, some returned to scrub and sweep the barracks and show the world that human beings had lived there. But on Newington Avenue, the Rubicons of human existence have all been crossed. The struggle itself has been mocked, and the unconditional surrender of one generation presses hard upon the next. For the detectives inside the row house, contempt and even rage are the only natural emotions, or so they believe until the early morning hours of the search, when a 10-year-old in a stained oil sweatshirt and denims emerges from the clutter of humanity in the middle room and tugs on Eddie Brown's coat sleeve, asking for permission to get something from his room. "What is it you need?" "My homework." Brown hesitates, disbelieving. "Homework?" "It's in my room." "Which room is that?" "It's upstairs in the front." "What do you need? I'll bring it." "My workbook and some papers, but I don't remember where I left it." And so Brown follows the boy to the largest bedroom on the second floor and watches as the kid actually pulls a third-grade reader and workbook from the cluttered table. "What kind of homework is it?" "Spelling." "Spelling?" "Yeah." "You a good speller?" "I'm okay." They walk back downstairs and the boy is gone, lost in the sweltering mass of the middle room. Eddie Brown stares through the doorway as if it were the end of a long tunnel. "I tell you," he says, lighting a cigarette, "I'm getting too old for this." So that was the moment in reporting where I realized I had to do the second book, The Corner. There's no shame or regret at having written a book from the point of view of detectives. It really is their point of view. It's the job they do. But I came to the conclusion at that moment when that kid actually did that to Eddie Brown that there was a story on the other side of the police tape. So that meant I had to do another book. And I probably needed to do more, but the crack pipe that was HBO got in my way. Thank you very much. I don't know what I'm giving way to, but I will say that having to follow Zena Edwards is one of the great tragedies of my life. I don't play a musical instrument well. I have no poetry in my soul, and I can't act. So, thanks a lot.